Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna and today's video will be a paint with me where I'll be taking you guys through the process of how I make this large acrylic abstract piece. First things first, I set up my makeshift studio space, and then I like to take a moment to just envision my workflow on the canvas. I find that it really helps me to get in the zone, especially when I'm committing to such a large piece. For the colors, I like to stick with mostly primaries to start, and then I'll add anything else in addition that I feel like will enhance the overall color palette of the piece. One thing you'll notice is that I do tend to avoid black. This is more of a old school train of thought, but I do think that black is really harsh, and unless it's super intentional for your piece, I definitely tend to avoid using it. Now for the part where the paint finally meets the canvas, I'm just using a mix of both my palette knife and also a large flat brush to mark out specific spots that I'm envisioning the darkest color will be on my canvas. In this case, it's just this really dark navy blue. I'm really envisioning something very moody but cool toned in this case. So I'm just mixing up some of those colors and making sure that I'm marking out a path, kind of like a glide path for me to follow once I get a bit further along. Then I decided to go back in with some thinner washes of more of a warmer tone. I was aiming for something with a yellow ochre, more undertone, just so then there's some visual interest, and with blue and orange, they're contrasting complementary colors. So bringing in a bit of a warmer, richer tone will actually bring out all of the blue accents within the painting. At this point, I'm just taking my time and filling in all of the different areas of the canvas and kind of blocking out with the different colors so I can better envision the entire flow of the painting. I find this is very similar to how you would do a underpainting if you're doing more of a traditional piece, and this just helps me gain a little bit more confidence once I start going in with more dramatic brush strokes and thicker paint, so then at least I can envision how the entire piece will look, sort of. And with this, you can definitely tell that the canvas was really big, so it was taking me a very long time. I just decided to throw on a show and be patient, and I was here for quite a while. As I was trying to capture everything in video, I was soon to realize that time-lapse mode on my phone was going to be my best friend because it makes everything so efficient and captures all the process without taking up so much memory. And I don't know why I thought that I could film everything in real time before, but thank God for time-lapse. And it made me feel like all of the hours that I was spending was actually so short looking back on it, and if only I can paint like this in real life. Now that the first layer of paint has covered the entire canvas, I'm going back in and mixing up a medium opacity color of kind of the same color palette and going over the same spots just to continue layering and building up the painting. And then what I'm doing is taking that darkest color, which is the navy blue that we had mixed before, and really carving out the shape and the glide path that I'm looking for to be the most dramatic eye drawing point of this entire painting. With this, what I find really helps is to keep my hands and wrists pretty loose because this is a pretty organic process, and what I like to do is just let the brush kind of lead me in terms of what shape that we're making. The edges don't have to be perfect, and in my mind I just tell myself that I need to be very forgiving because this is a abstract and expressive piece, and what I'll let my hands do is essentially guide me in terms of shaping all the glide paths. But in my mind I'll know that, okay, if it's a vertical piece, I kind of want specific lines going throughout, but everything else I just kind of let flow. After that last layer of paint has dried, I'm pulling out the big guns and using some modeling paste with my palette knife. Some people may call this lazy, but you know, your girl's got to be resourceful since we're still in the middle of a pandemic, and for some reason art supplies are really scarce, and I'm not about to use all of my really good paint and then run out, so gotta ration. After modeling paste, we're back to the paint. So I'm taking the darkest color again and just creating some of those organic edges, and then also layering on top of some of the lighter tones. This way it's a constant process of layering and creating more visual interest as we go. And the next step is to take a smaller brush and just clean up some of the edges that I want to be very sharp and adding in some additional detail. At this point, the key is just to keep layering your colors and adding in different shapes and areas that you feel like you want the eye to be more drawn towards. And for me, this is the part where I can kind of get carried away. So I definitely need to take those breaks where I step away from the canvas and take a look a bit farther just to make sure that I'm not really overwhelming the entire piece and that the flow when you look at it is still where I want it to be. I'm coming back in again with some thinner paint to layer over some of the more opaque colors. In the art worlds, they call this technique glazing, but really it's just watered down paint. You're layering it over some more opaque colors just to create some additional layers, and it just tends to look a little bit prettier and more visually interesting. So one thing to note is that I am specifically painting over a lot of where the modeling paste went. You can actually mix acrylic paint with modeling paste, but my preference is always to paint over just because then that way I'm not diluting the pigments in the paint and it just has a much better color payoff. Now I'm adding in the pop of mustard to just really pull all of the color tones together in the painting. This again goes back to color theory where we needed a bit of a complementary color and a stronger complementary color to really bring out a lot of the blue tones in the painting. I really love how the magic of color theory works in this case to just make this painting that was looking a bit bland, and now just everything seems to really pop. By now I basically painted for the whole day, and I think I ended the night around 3 a.m. so I definitely went to bed and left it for a couple of days. Coming back to my next painting session, I did most of the upfront work in the first day, so really I just have to put in some final touches, and I mainly focused on adding in this nice antique bronze color because I just felt like, you know, this painting was missing a little bit of spice, and I really wanted to make sure that I added some metallic accents just so then when the light hits it, it has an extra dimension. Since most of this video is super sped up, figured we'd change up the pace here and show you guys some detailed shots of me painting in real time. This entire piece definitely took a lot longer than I expected. I was thinking I can finish the whole thing kind of all in one shot, and definitely over ambitious, so I ended up splitting it out into 2 sessions, and in total I spent just under 2 full days of really dedicated painting time. And for reference, the size of this canvas is 60 by 48 inches, so it's definitely quite large, but it's always fun feeling the flow and kind of freedom with a piece that's this size. Now it's finally time to show you guys the reveal. I'm so excited to show you what it looks like hung up on the wall. I feel like every painting, you don't get to see its final kind of phase until it's hung up and in the place where it's meant to be. And in this case, I really like how the blue tones and the bronze colors really complement some of the greenery that's all around the house. I think it's a really grounding piece for this large room, and overall I really enjoyed going through this entire process of creating it. Hello friends, coming back in just to close off this video. Again, thank you so much for watching and going through this entire painting journey with me. It's been a lot of fun shooting this type of paint with me video, so I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comments. Please leave me any of your feedback, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. As always, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!